In our today's class, we're going to start with the chapter 1 for English class 11, that is The Summer of Beautiful White Horse. So this story is written by William Serian, and in this story, the writer talks about two boys, Aram and Murad. Let's start without any delays. So, this story is about two poor Armenian boys. So you can mark this out that these two boys are Armenian boys who belong to a tribe whose hallmark is trustworthiness and honesty. So the special trait of the tribe they belong to are trust and honesty. So we'll talk about this in the upcoming paragraph as well, where the writer himself mentions all about it. One day back there in the good old days when I was 9, and the world was full of every imaginable kind of magnificence, and the life was still a delightful and mysterious dream. My cousin Murad, who was considered crazy by everyone who knew him except me, came to my house at 4 in the morning and woke me up tapping on the window of my room. So here, why the author mentions that good old days. So he wants to tell that good old days were his childhood days, because at those time they were he can imagine every kind of thing, as he mentions here, imaginable kind of magnificence, and the world was full of delightfulness and mysterious dreams. He could imagine everything, those stress-free golden time he's missing for. Thus he mentioned it as good old days. Okay. Then he talks about his cousin Murad, who was considered crazy by everyone whosoever knew him, except the narrator. Now he says that he was considered as a crazy personality by everyone, but not by him, but not by the narrator. So what he did, the Murad, his cousin, came at 4 o'clock in the morning and woke the narrator up by tapping on the window of his room. So it was 4 in the morning, and the narrator was sleeping at that time, and his cousin came and he tapped on the window and woke him up. Aram, he said. So here we get to know the writer's name in the story, that is Aram, and his cousin's name is Murad. So these are the important part. So I jumped out of the window and looked out of the window. So he jumped out of the bed and looked at the window at who was there. I couldn't believe what I saw. It wasn't morning yet, but it was summer, and with daybreak not many minutes around the corner of the verge, it was light enough for me to know I wasn't dreaming. So he tells that morning wasn't yet, but due to the summer time, he did had enough light to see that he wasn't dreaming. You know, in the summers the sun rises earlier, so that is why he says due to it was summer, and that is why the light was enough for him to know that he wasn't dreaming at that time, because he couldn't believe what he saw. My cousin Murad was sitting on a beautiful white horse. So here the thing which he couldn't believe was that his cousin was sitting on a beautiful white horse. I stuck my head out of the window and rubbed my eyes. Yes, he said in Armenian. So what his cousin did, he was sitting on a horse, a beautiful white horse, and that is why the narrator couldn't believe what he saw. But due to the daylight, he realized that he wasn't dreaming and looked out of the window, and he rubbed his eyes. So the cousin Murad said yes in Armenian. So he's telling that he was speaking in Armenian, that it's a horse and you are not dreaming. Make it quick if you want to ride. So his cousin also knew that he will be thinking that he was dreaming at that particular time. So he mentions that yes, you're not dreaming and it's a horse. And if you want to ride, then be fast, come out. I knew my cousin Murad enjoyed being alive more than anybody else who had ever fallen into the world by mistake. But this was more than even I could believe. So, who's speaking this part is Aram, and he's telling that his cousin was the one who believed in enjoying than being more than believing in being alive, but he believed more in enjoying, because that is the way we live life. Also he says that anybody else who had ever fallen into the world by mistake. So he's talking here about every living personality who has taken birth in this world. So He says that he believed in enjoying more than just living, and also this was even more than he can believe. So this was something much much bigger than what Aram could believe Murad will do. He had a horse. In the first place, my earliest memories had been memories of horses, and my first longings had been longings of riding. So he says that the first memory, the earliest memory he could have of his childhood was the memory of a horse. You know, he can just memorize that he had a memory of a horse, and my first longing had been longing to ride. So here he says his earliest memories of the childhood were, earliest memories of childhood were memories of horse, yes, and longings for riding. So this earliest desire he could have thought of in his childhood was to ride. This was the wonderful part. In second place, we were poor. So he says that first thing was that I longed for riding, but the second thing was that we were poor. So the first thing which I longed for riding was a wonderful part. This was a wonderful thing, yes. But they were poor, so this was the part which did allowed him to believe that what I saw. As he says that he saw Murad sitting on a horse. So this part that they were poor didn't allow him to believe that Murad was actually sitting on a horse. We were poor. We had no money. Our whole tribe was poverty stricken. So he says that they were poor, there was no money with them, and their whole tribe was in poverty. So their tribe is Armenian tribe, as I mentioned earlier. So every branch of the Gargolian family was living in the most amazing and comical poverty in the world. Nobody could understand where we ever got money enough to keep us with food in our bellies, not even the old men of the family. Most important of all, though we were famous for our honesty. So here he says that their tribe, Gargolian family, was living in such a comical poverty that even their ancestors, old men of the family, didn't understood that where they got enough money to keep food in their bellies. So here he mentions that no one knew from where they got enough money just to survive, just to get the food, since they were poor. So that's a kind of comical situation which he talks about in this tribe. Also, he tells that most important of all, though they were famous for their honesty, we had been famous for our honesty for something like 11 centuries, even when we had the wealthiest family in what we liked to think was the world. So here he says that they were famous for the honesty. Their tribe has the trait, they were poor, okay, but they were famous for their honesty as well. Okay, so they had been famous for their honesty for about 11 centuries. It wasn't something that was new that the tribe was honest, but 11 centuries. Even when they were the wealthiest family in what we like to think was the world. We were proud first. So another trait of their tribe was proud. We were proud first. So they had self-respect, you can say. Here in proud, we can say self-respect for themselves. Honest next, and after that we believed in right and wrong. So here you can mention out 3 or 4 traits of their tribe, which were, so I'll mention over here: comical, poverty, self-respected people, as he mentions proud, yes, so self-respected people, honesty, believed in what is right and wrong, that is, they never did something which was wrong on their part, yes. So these can be the 4 traits of their tribe. So you can just write this out on a separate part of yours and take a screenshot as well. Okay, so these were the traits of the tribe which Aram is talking about here. Yes. So here is talking about his tribe traits. So which were these? They mentioned. Now, none of us would take advantage of anyone in the world, let alone steal. So here we add on one more trait of their tribe, that is never steal. Also, they were trustworthy. Someone can trust on the person belonging to their tribe. Okay, because it was famous for the 11th centuries. So, consequently, even though I could see the horse, so magnificent, even though I could smell it, so lovely, even though I could hear it breathing, so exciting. So here he describes about that he was seeing the horse. So he sees it and describes it as magnificent. The smell was lovely, and the way he was breathing was so exciting for him. But he still couldn't believe the horse had to do anything with his cousin or with him or with any other person of their family because they were very poor. So he says that he wasn't able to believe that the horse had anything to do with Murad, with him, with his any member of the family. Either he's sleeping or awake, because I knew my cousin Murad could not have bought it. So he says that he cannot buy it because they were poor. Then if he cannot buy it, then he must have stolen it. But I cannot believe that he had stolen it. Why? Because no one in our tribe can ever be a thief, as earlier mentioned about the traits of his tribe. And I don't belong to the same tribe. So how can he steal? So he was like very astonished and surprised that what was the matter in actual. Had he stolen it? Because he cannot buy the horse because they were poor. I stared first at my cousin and then at the horse. There was a pious stillness and humor in each of them. So pious stillness and humor in each of them, and which on the one hand delighted me, and on the other frightened me. So here he talks about that there was some kind of humor in this because I wasn't able to figure it out whether he had stolen or he had bought it, and that is why he was frightened and delighted at the same time. Now, why was he delighted? Why was he frightened and why was he delighted? Let's see that as well. So he says he was delighted because he can now ride the horse. But he says that he was frightened because he was thinking that Murad had stolen it. Yes, so these were the two situations in front of him. On the one hand, he was thinking that he can now ride a horse, that is why he was delighted. And on the other, he was thinking that Murad had stolen the horse, thus he was frightened about it. Murad, I said, where did you steal this horse? Leap out of the window, he said, if you want to ride. So now Ram asked that, where did you steal the horse from? Then Murad replied that, come out from the window if you want to ride it. So he did replied it that whether he has stolen it or from where he had stolen it. Instead he said that if you want to ride it, then come out. It was true then. And then due to this answer, the narrator got assured that this was true, that he had stolen the horse because there was no question about it. He had come to invite me to ride or not as I chose. So here he gets reassured that this was the true thing because now he had not replied me, and also he is saying that if you want to ride, then come out. So it was my choice if I want to ride it or not. Well, it seemed to me stealing a horse for a ride was not same thing as stealing something else. So now he's trying to just reassure himself that Murad has not done something wrong and he can ride the horse. Just to convince himself for riding, he starts saying this, that stealing a horse is not as something like stealing something else such as money or something for money. For all I knew, maybe it wasn't stealing at all. If I were crazy about the horse the way my cousin Murad and I were, it wasn't stealing. So here he says this wasn't stealing because my cousin and Murad were like crazy about it, and we were not stealing the horse for money. So in my case, this wasn't stealing. So here he's trying to convince himself so that he can ride the horse. it wouldn't become stealing until we offered to sell the horse, which of course I knew we would never do. So he also says that it will be stealing if we sell the horse off for money, and I know that he will never do so, so it's not a stealing at all. Let me put on some clothes, I said. All right, he said, but hurry. So now Murad is now waiting for him, and Aram is convinced that yes, it's not stealing at all. I leaped into my clothes. I jumped down to the yard from the window and leaped up onto the horse behind my cousin Murad. So now he sat on the horse and behind his cousin Murad. That year we lived at the edge of the town on Walnut Avenue. So here he's telling his location that they lived at the edge of the town. That's the Walnut Avenue. Behind their horse was the country. Behind their house, that is the main location, main city of the town. Vineyards, orchards, irrigation ditches, country roads. In less than 3 minutes, we were in the Olive Avenue. So they were in the Walnut Place, now they are in Olive Avenue. And then the horse began to trot. The air was new and lovely to breathe. So he says the air was new and lovely to breathe. That is, the fresh air was there, and they were feeling it very nice to ride the horse as well as breathing out the fresh air. Yes, the feel of the horse running was wonderful. So the feeling that the horse was running was also very nice. My cousin Murad, who was considered one of the craziest member of our family, began to sing. So now he says that he was the craziest member of the family. He started to sing, and began to roar. So he's describing his singing as roaring, which was, he's talking about Murad here. Yes, every family has a crazy streak in it somewhere, and my cousin Murad was considered the natural descendant of the crazy streak in our tribe. Before him was our uncle Khusrov, an enormous man with a powerful head of black hair and the largest moustache in the Sinjarkand Valley. So here he says that every family has a one crazy personality, and my cousin Murad was also one of them. So he was a natural descendant of Uncle Khusrov. So before him, Uncle Khusrov was a crazy one in their family, and now Murad was one of them. And he describes his Uncle Khusrov as an enormous man with powerful head of black hair and moustaches, which were largest in the valley, and a man so furious in temper, so irritable, so impatient that he stopped anyone from talking by roaring, "It's no harm, pay no attention to it." So here he describes his Uncle Khusrov. So you can just mark this Uncle Khusrov's description. Yes, I'll highlight it for you. Uncle Khusrov. So he was an enormous man with a powerful head, black hair. That he was so furious and had the largest moustache in the valley. Furious in temper, irritable, impatient, and he can stop anyone by saying "It's no harm, pay no attention to it." So I just erase this part for you. Yes. So he says it's no harm, pay no attention to it. Yes. So these are the important talks about Uncle Khusrov, which I have marked here. Yes. So now that was all, no matter what anybody happened to be talking about. And he says that this was the end of the talk. No matter what anybody is saying to him, he will roar in his one tone that no harm, it's no harm, pay no attention to it. Once it was his own son Arak. So he's now telling about this incident in which Uncle Khusro showed his craziness, that his son came running 8 blocks to barber's shop where his father was having his mustache trimmed to tell him their house was on fire. So he ran 8 blocks just to tell his father that their house was on fire. And this man Khusrov sat up in the chair and roared, "It's no harm, pay no attention to it." So here Ish is telling about the incident about Uncle Khusro. Yes. So this is the incident about Uncle Khusro. So Khusro wrote, "Enough, it's no harm." Then the boy again said that the house is on fire, but this man again said that it's no harm, please don't do it. So he had no interest in knowing whether what's going on in his house, even such was his craziness. My cousin Murad was considered the natural descendant of this man. So he was also considered as the natural descendant of Uncle Khusro, Murad. Although Murad's father was Zorab. So he was the son of Zorab. So yeah, you can know the relation. Yes. So he was the son of Zorab. Now he says that his father was Zorab. Yes. And he was a practical personality, nothing else. That's how in our tribe, a man could be a father of his son's flesh, but not always the father of his spirit. So he describes that he can be the father of his body, but not always of his spirit. And this distribution of various kinds of spirits of our tribe had been from beginning. Yes, it wasn't anything new, and it was from the beginning itself. So that's it for today, and I hope you will learn something from this video. And if you do, then do like the video and subscribe to the channel. Thank you. I'll soon upload the second part as well.